Okay. Velvet, are you set up as well?
I'm good to go.
Okay, good. So, welcome back, everyone. I'm just going to start a new recording because um, Twitch tends to delete these things pretty quickly. There we go. Welcome back. This is Extra Life 2019, Day 1. It is November 2nd, and we are having an exciting time this morning. We will be playing Interstitial, Our Hearts Intertwine by Riley Hopkins. I'll put the link to where you can purchase that in the chat. It is well worth it. It's a really good game. This will be my first time playing it for real, but I understand that one of my guests today has played it before. So let me go ahead and introduce.
Ah. Oh no.
No?
I accidentally closed Discord. I think I'm still connected, but
You still seem
hello?
to be
Okay,
connected.
cool. I was like trying to click the X on a different program.
That is the voice of Minna Riley. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello?
Hi.
Okay, sorry. You were roboting slightly for me.
Oh dear. Let me check to make
It's
sure
fine.
nothing's downloading. Shouldn't be.
You're fine now. I don't know why.
It happens sometimes.
It happens sometimes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was asking you to introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. Me?
Yes, you.
Hi, I am Minna. You can find me at Mina Minar on Twitter. I'm also Myra on the Magpies podcast and Yanez on the Ironhides podcast.
Wonderful. And sorry, what were your pronouns?
Oh, so sorry. My pronouns are she, her.
All right, thank you. I'm also joined today by Velvet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Velvet. You can find me on Stories of a Broken Sun as Maeve, on Flight Risk as Anarchy, on Morty's Devils as Apollyon, on Fangirls as Christy. And I think that's everything for now.
You're keeping yourself busy. Okay, I'm just going to put the Twitter links into the chat here so that everyone has access to the wonderful content that both of you present.
Also, my pronouns are she, her as well.
Thank you. And I'm Matt. Sometimes I go by ARP, and my pronouns are he, him. I am the showrunner, the friendly guide on Stories of a Broken Sun. I do occasional Let's Plays, not too much anymore, at YCaliber. You can find me on Twitter at YCaliber or follow the show at Broken Sun RPG. And I've been a guest on Flight Risk for the past season or so, which is a Star Wars podcast with Velvet as well. Okay, you can see their Twitter links in the chat, along with a link to where you can buy Interstitial Our Hearts Intertwined, if you'd like to. So, who's played this game before?
I have. It's been quite a while. I think I played it only during like the playtesting phase before the Kickstarter went up.
Okay. And Velvet, you haven't played, I assume?
Nope.
Okay,
First
good.
time.
That's my first time like running this for reals, so it should be fun. Hopefully, there won't be too many issues. I am familiar with how to run Powered by the Apocalypse games pretty well. Now then, we are having sort of a buddy cop, interdimensional buddy cop episode today. The title of this little one shot is going to be Interstitial Slide Away Home. So tell me a little bit about your character and playbook, Minna.
Hi, I'm going to be playing Padmé Amidala because I have a brand. I'm going to be playing her with the light playbook, which is basically all about, I think, making. Oh God, I'm
You're an anchor for the people around
suddenly.
you.
Yes,
You are the brightest
all
light.
about making a bunch of heart links.
That's right. You've got +1 light, -1 dark, -1 mastery, and +1 heart, I think, is the basic one there. So you're playing Padme Amidala. From what era of Star Wars are you playing Padme?
I think I am playing Padme just after the prequel trilogy ends, when she lives, but gets drawn into another universe, I'm assuming.
Okay. So rather than dying of a broken heart, Padme was instead drawn to through a dimensional portal of some sort.
Yes.
Okay. And is that the main difference in the alternate universe fan fiction version of Amidala's universe you're dealing?
I do think that is the main version. Because, I mean, just what I was imagining is that this is just what happens after.
Okay, cool. Yes, so this will be a jaunt through alternate universe fanfic worlds in pursuit of a rogue agent of the agency that you two work for. And speaking of the two of you, Velvet, tell us about your character and a little bit about your playbook.
In the interest of also staying on brand, I will be playing as the Dark Playbook,
Mm-hmm.
and I will be playing our Dark Lady and Rightful War Chief, Sylvanas Windrunner.
Oh, from World of Warcraft.
Yes, even though I also have some beef with Blizzard, or maybe a lot of beef, I'm just too stoked about the latest trailer.
One of the, I'm sure in the alternate universe fanfic version of this, it's perhaps not owned by Blizzard, or maybe Blizzard isn't just so bad.
Yes, in this universe, Blizzard did not bend the knee.
And from what era or what part of the timeline are you being plucked here?
I think this is just after. Well, I'll try to keep this as spoiler free as possible for anyone, but after a certain event that could have been Siege of Agramar 2.0, rather than just fleeing the battlefield, Sylvanas is transported to this universe.
Okay. And you are using the Dark playbook. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You've given yourself over to the darkness, and your only goal is to get more people to do that as well. For them to fall in line with you and become more powerful than the foolish light. So there's a little bit of conflict between the two of you, I think, as there always will be in a buddy cop situation. Now, the dark has -1 light, +2 dark, 0 mastery, and 0 heart as a basis. Their link move is Embrace Darkness. Whenever another character makes a dark link, mark experience and take +1 forward when making a mastery link with them. Now, each of you get to pick 3 moves at character creation. So have you taken a look at your moves list and picked some?
I have.
Okay, would you like to tell us which ones you got?
So I have I know you will. When you take someone at their word, create a heart link with them. If they break their word, break the link, and have the offending player break another light link. There is light in every dark place. When trying to convince somebody when they're angry, you may use light in place of heart.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to think before we act. When you wish for guidance, ask what here will keep my friends safe. The GM will answer you honestly.
All right, thank you. And what looks good to you, Velvet? Sylvanas, I should say. Start calling you by your character names.
So I've chosen the dark makes me stronger. When attacking or performing a feat of strength, I count as a small gang and can do more than a normal person.
Cool.
I've also chosen hate lingers in every heart. When I manipulate an NPC to make them feel darkness, I roll with dark. On a
Okay.
10 plus, they unlock a link they have with someone else. On a 7 to 9, their darkness turns on me as well. And on a miss, a locked link reactivates, and they are reminded of the power of their friend.
A move that can backfire, as all can. And you get one more move.
And for the last one, I chose I know what lies in your heart. When I roll to convince somebody, I can roll with dark instead.
Okay.
That's fun. I like that we both have the when you roll to convince, use your primary stat move. You appeal to the dark side, I appeal to the light side.
It's good cop, bad cop.
We're basically as Earth, like Crowley, just
I know.
negating each other out.
You made that comparison to the chat, and I died a little bit. It's fine.
Maybe so. Okay, so let's see. Azuraphale and Crowley. Yep, that's fair. let's see. Where were we? Links. I believe you have to make links at the beginning, right? With the other players?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
Okay. Making a link when you meet someone for the first time. I don't think you need to roll when you're setting up your basic links. Starting links, good. When you start a game, look to each other player and form a link with them. It can be of any kind, and they don't have to match both ways. This will explain the connection to your party and how each person knows one another. So the types of link are light, dark, mastery, and heart. Light links are for friendship and love. They're generally positive. Dark links are rivalry. They're usually negative emotions. Mastery are for teachers, students, mentors, or apprentices. They're about learning from the person with whom you have the link. And heart are links you make with a person whose actions or attitudes lead you to introspection or discovery of new things about yourself. So mastery is learning from them about other stuff, and heart is they encourage you to learn more about yourself.
Ooh. Velvet, do you think that we are like acknowledging that we're friends, or are we still in the phase where it's like we just can't see past the differences?
I think maybe
Or
the
a
initial
mixture?
phase. No,
Yeah.
a mixture. Mixture sounds.
So I think one of us is a light link and one of us is a dark link. How does that sound? Or maybe one
That
heart, one dark.
that sounds accurate.
Ooh, which way?
That's a good question.
It's almost fun if it's like I have the dark link and you have the light or the heart link.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Contradictions, that's what this game is about.
Okay. So I guess mark down your links with each other there. And I'm not sure where you can keep track of that. There's no interstitial Roll20 sheet as yet, so we'll just be using this to roll dice. As we do, so it'll be the /roll stuff, which all rolls.
Sylvanas, right?
Yeah. All rolls are 2d6, and you add one of your statistics to them. The other interesting thing about Interstitial that is unique from other PBTA games is that the links are a very important part of how the game works. You can also choose to lock a link, but we'll talk about that in a second. So you can make links with characters that you meet. When you make a link, you can roll to make a link with them, and you roll a 10 plus, you both get a link to one another, and your link move triggers if it's relevant. On a 7 to 9, you don't get the link move to trigger, or the link isn't what you intended. So you might roll to have a mastery link with someone and end up with a heart link with them instead. And if there's a miss, the link move doesn't trigger, and I might give you a link, but I'll also probably make a hard move, or someone else gets a link instead. And what are links for? They're not just there to look pretty, they're there to be spent and used. For example, you can spend a link and erase it from your list to gain advantage on a roll, which means you can re-roll the lowest die result. Create small-scale retcons if you want to, like, say, actually, what if this happened instead? You can use a link to do that. Or you can swap two links for experience, which is probably more use for a long-term game than for this, but you never know. Now, some of your links are powerful and important relationships that will stay with you even if you spend them, and that is a locked link. You can lock links, try saying that 5 times fast, and that means they don't disappear when you spend them, but they become inactive until you get 10 plus on a roll of the same type. So if you have a heart link with someone that is locked, you can spend it and then it just becomes inactive, meaning that your relationship changes in some way but doesn't necessarily go away. And then if you roll another heart roll and you get a 10 plus on it, that link comes back. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you feel that your link with another character has changed during play, you can roll to make a link again. And even locked links, even if they're spent, they count towards push through stress link totals. Okay, so links, push through stress with dark, draw +2. Okay. When you roll with links, you'll roll with the links you have in that category, not your stat. This means if you have 2 dark links and a dark stat of 1 and have to push through stress with dark, you'd roll +2, and this caps at +4. So you use the links instead of the stat when you're rolling with links. Advantage means you can re-roll, or you roll a 3d6 and you drop the lowest one. Good. So, let's begin. Interstitial, slide away home. The two of you have been working together for this agency that is meant to defend alternate universes from undue interference and destruction. And what tends to cause this type of destruction is people getting really upset about canon and trying to destroy things that are outside of their experience. So every once in a while, someone will come along and be like, this doesn't count as canon, this is heretical, and they will try to destroy these alternate universes. And it's up to the people in your agency to prevent that from happening. They're the guardians of fanfic, essentially.
I'm so in love with this concept.
I kind of want to know how each of you ended up working for this organization, but we can figure that out as we play.
Wait, I know.
Okay, good.
People get inducted into this organization sometimes via if they have like a powerful enough subset of AUs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's powerful enough to draw them out of their actual canon universe. And Padmé Lives is a pretty common AU, I believe.
Yeah.
I've been delving into some Star Wars fanfic recently, and I've seen a number of those texts.
I'm sure Padmé Lives and Eris Lives are both like huge areas of influence in the fanfic universe.
So, every now and then, at least a version of the canon person gets pulled into this dimension of fanfic.
Awesome. So you can let me know if you come up with an idea, Velvet, whenever you do. It's not that important. But so you were drawn in here because of the strength of the Padmé Lives fanfic. It reached critical mass, and that sort of drew you in. Now, this area where the agency exists is not a world in itself, but it's a place between worlds, an interstitial place, if you will. Like if you were to jump into a portal, instead of going out of the portal, you sort of fall through the portal, and then the portal is where you live. And there's a whole agency that's been set up here. They live in a big flying octahedron that just floats in space, surrounded by ships going to and fro. You can see ships from all different media. There goes an X-Wing. There's the Firefly. There's, the Enterprise is docking. And the space around it is just this sort of purple and blue melding that doesn't vibrate. What's the word I'm looking for? It sort of melts into itself. It's like a lava lamp sort of consistency to the background that you'll be seeing. So the two of you have been summoned to a meeting with the head of this organization. I don't have a name for this organization. If you do, let me know.
I
What do you
mean,
think?
the archive?
The archive?
I dig it.
Fanfiction archive is a pretty common term for that kind of thing.
All right. So this is the archive. So I guess we'll call you archivists. All right. So this room is at the top of the octahedron, and it is the office of the head of this organization, the head of the archive. And I guess the two of you arrive at the door together. You've worked together before. You have some experience on missions. You can tell me about that in play if you'd like. But for now, you're at the door, and you hear from inside, "Oh, yes, Sylvanas and Padmé, please come in, come in."
We do, or at least Padmé does.
Okay.
Who are we facing?
Inside here, you see there is a large, imposing man. He's got severe features. He has shoulder length, dark brown hair that's it curls a little bit back away from his face. Large eyebrows, a beard. He's wearing a black suit with a black shirt, no tie. He's quite tall. Let me check exactly how tall he is. He's almost 2 meters tall. Let me put that in terms that my American friends will understand. Yeah, he's 6'1", so I guess he's not that tall. But he's large as well. And this man has an academic air to him, as well as looking as fierce as he is. And there's a sign in front of him that says, Professor Maximilian P. Arturo. And he stands as you come in and says, Please come and take a seat. And gestures to a pair of chairs in front of the desk. There's an important mission that I have for you, but I'd like to speak with you before we begin.
Yes, Professor. And we sit down.
He takes a seat as well. He presses a button on a controller on his desk, and a hologram picture shows up of a device. And let's see here. It looks like one of those 90s flip phones, like a 90s cell phone flip phone, the brick ones that have the big battery jutting out of the back. There's a physical dial on it with a timer, and then red LED lights in the sort of 80s fashion below and above the dial. And if you flip it open, there are some, it shows there's numbers on the bottom of it, and a variety of gauges and thermometers that are showing. And he says, You may recognize this as a timer. This is a timer that activates the Einstein-Rosen-Podolsky bridge. That was my primary method of transportation between dimensions until I was, unfortunately, abandoned, when my double was taken instead. Now, being able to slide between dimensions, as you know, is a important part of our work here at the archive. Unfortunately, the timer has been stolen.
Stolen?
Yes, indeed. I'm not quite sure by whom, but it has been taken from the archives in our locked vaults. So perhaps either someone who is a master thief, or it was an inside job. And these blithering idiots, he says, looking towards a security footage that shows a couple of guards hanging around outside of a vault, and then the security footage devolves into static. We're unable to prevent this theft, and now all of our universes are once again in peril.
How's Sylvanas reacting to this?
Sylvanas is pretty stoic. I think ever since she's sat wordlessly and crossed her knee over, she's just been chilling. But after watching the footage, she's gonna lean in and be like, "Are you able to narrow down the list of people who knew about the timer?"
Well, the timer should be known to most everybody. Let me see. Rembrandt was the one who returned it to Earth Prime some years ago, when he brought that virus with him to eliminate the Cro-Mag. Who else? Wade, of course, after I rescued her from that breeder's camp. She had been abandoned by the rest of her party as well. Who else had access to information on the slider? Timer, he says. So he's looking through his list to see who might have access. Quinn passed away. It wouldn't be him. Maggie, no, she's still on that last Earth with the seer. I couldn't say exactly who might have access, but any of our top-level agents would as well. So people would be like, I don't know, what are the most common fanfic AUs?
Coffee shop AU.
Coffee shop AU, yes. Lots of coffee shop agents. I don't know if they would make great agents of the archive, but they'd probably hang out here.
Dark AU.
Dark
Uh,
AU, yeah. Yeah, so there's
obviously somebody who
probably
lives.
probably the top agents are from fandoms that have the most people writing fanfic in them. So you'd have people like, My Hero Academia, Final Fantasy, um, anything that's currently very popular. Hamilton, you know, there's probably a version of Lin-Manuel Miranda around here somewhere.
Oh God.
So, a list of top agents scrolls along, it's Alexander Hamilton, Eris Gainsborough, uh, you know, what's the bad one name from My Hero Academia that everybody likes?
All for one.
No, the bad boy, not the bad guy.
Oh, Bakugo.
Bakugo, and so on. These are our top agents, the most powerful agents of the archive at the moment. Any one of them could have taken it, unless it was, as I said, a master thief from the outside. We just don't have enough information. The guards, their memories, the guards' memories are no longer reliable. They have not been able to provide us any testimony. But we do have one lead. The professor is pausing for effect, and you can tell that he's waiting for someone to ask.
I was gonna say. A lead, Professor?
Indeed. Yes, we have the trail of the timer. I developed technology during my time in exile that allowed me to follow where the timer's jumps had taken it. The slides, rather, had taken it. So I can send you to the reality that was first accessed by this villain. From there, it will be up to you to continue tracking the trail and to retrieve the timer before it is used to wipe away this archive.
Very well. Is it just the two of us?
You are the only ones that I trust on this job. And of course,
You trust both of us.
I trust both of you in that I know exactly how you operate. The professor says arrogantly.
Yeah, Sylvanas raised a single eyebrow at that "I trust you" comment.
Padmé's not hiding her discomfort with going somewhere alone with Sylvanas into this difficult situation.
It is much to ask, but there is much at stake.
Yes, it sounds as if the fate of anyone like us is at stake here.
Indeed so. So the two of you are able to take this on, or are you going to refuse this job?
Are you kidding me? The fate of the universe is at stake.
That's self-preservation. Of course we're taking it.
Absolutely. See, the professor knew exactly what would be the prime motivator here. Okay. So you head out, and the professor says Wade and Rembrandt will assist you with the technology to open a portal and allow you to slide to your first destination. You'll be issued with a mass production timer, a single-use item, that will allow you to make up to 4 jumps. Should you require more than 4 jumps to retrieve the prime timer and return, then you will have to find your own way back. This would be standard operating procedure you'd be aware of. They can't have these timers out there just allowing for unlimited travel between dimensions, of course.
No, of course not. That would lead to a crossover that would gain too much momentum to be stopped.
It would be too much power.
Would it cause a crisis on Infinite Earths?
It might. You never know. So the elevator in the back of the professor's office takes you down to the middle of the octahedron, and there's a large chamber here that is just full of like doors, like in Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that same chamber, and the doors are being swung around, and you see agents coming and going through them as they do their work and visit other places and ensure that everyone is safe and so on. And you are waved over by Wade and Rembrandt, who are again, two of the top agents here. They helped found this place along with the professor. Wade is she's a woman in her late 20s at this point. She has her hair she has short hair. She wears an orange tank top and has a very mostly serious look, but has a bit of a quirk to her mouth. You can tell she's got a sense of humor. And Rembrandt is a very well-dressed gentleman. He's got a well-manicured mustache. His hair is all lined up perfectly. His suit is charcoal with white pinstripes. He's wearing an orange shirt and a lighter orange tie. You know that Rembrandt is a musician and was one of the veterans of the Sliders campaign, one of the earlier dimensional travel campaigns that led to the founding of this place. Wade is, of course, as well, along with the professor. Rembrandt is older. He looks to be in his 30s. And he says, hey, welcome, you two. You ready to get on this mission of yours?
Ready as ever, Rembrandt.
Excellent. Wade hands you a device that looks much like that timer that you saw in the hologram, but it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more modern technology. It looks like they've used technology from other dimensions to make it look a little bit less slapdash. And she says, now this is going to work, as you know, up to 4 times. So ideally that means you're going to visit 3 dimensions at most before you have to jump back here. Otherwise, you know how it works. It'll burn out and you'll be stuck on your own. And we don't want that. So I have programmed this to take you to the first destination to follow the trail of the prime timer. And as usual, once the portal opens, you jump in and hope that you get a good landing. Best of luck. And she hands it over to Padmé.
Thank you. Sylvanas.
Let's get going.
All right. Here goes nothing.
The timer beeps, and from the end of it, it projects a large blue swirling portal of light in the doorway in front of you. And it's got this sort of humming background noise and a slight hiss to it. You've seen these before. It's mostly safe, but sometimes where they open on the other end isn't the most safe location. Occasionally you'll fall a couple of feet or stories, so you just sort of have to be braced and hope that your landing will go well.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to jump in.
After you.
Sylvanas just swan dives right into it.
Padmé takes a running leap.
Okay. As you go through it, you're sort of rocked back and forth, going like whoosh, 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 like you would be in the rapids if you were kayaking through the rapids. And then as suddenly as it begins, you see a brightly colored world open beneath you, and you fall out of a portal and land on top of a large building. You only fall a few feet this time, so hopefully you land well. Though after swan diving, hard to say. Maybe we should do a roll.
All
Here's
right,
my
what
list
kind
of
roll is
basic
this gonna
moves.
be?
Roll for Tekken.
I think this will be a... Where's my... Push through stress roll. So, I think this is a mastery roll because it's about your skill in dealing with this situation. So if you push through stress with your mastery, stat there. Wait.
Just gonna be a flat roll then.
Mm-hmm.
How do you... Okay, I just realized that Roll20 tells you how to roll. I use physical dice most of the time these days. None of my friends trust the dice bots.
So if you... sorry, I didn't mention. Did either of you want to roll to form a link with the professor or with Wade or Rembrandt?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
You should basically form links with everyone you meet so that you can spend them.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It's... Yeah.
What
Let's do
kind of link do you want to roll with the professor?
Mastery, for sure.
Okay. So to make a link, you roll with your mastery,
Which
and
is...
if you roll a link that is based off your highest stat, gain +1. If you roll with your lowest stat, mark experience. So for you, your mastery is, let's see here.
-1, I think.
Yeah. So roll 2d6 -1.
It's a 7.
Okay. And for Sylvanas, it would be just 2d6. Okay. So sorry, I'm trying to keep track of a lot of things here. Okay. So all right. So Sylvana's roll failed. For Padmé, you form your link, but your link trigger move doesn't go off for that one. So you form a mastery link with the professor. And what type of link were you rolling? Was it also a mastery link, Sylvanas, or did you have a different type of link you wanted to make? Do you see the professor as a teacher, mentor, student, or apprentice?
Yeah, definitely. I think Sylvana's still getting the hang of, learning all these alternate technologies and magics, and is kind of, using the professor as a means to learn.
Okay. So you had a miss on your roll there. You rolled a 6, so the link move doesn't trigger. I'm going to give you a link with the professor, but not a mastery link. I'm going to give you a heart link with the professor. There's something about your interactions with the professor that make you look into yourself and see the reflections of his personality in yours and consider whether you like those things in him and whether you like those things also in yourself. So you've gained a heart link with Professor Arturo. Professor Max and Arturo. Yes.
I can definitely see a heart link with Rembrandt.
Okay.
From the very small interaction we've had. I don't know why, but let's roll it,
Yeah, I mean, you would know. You would have interacted with Rembrandt in the past. Like, these are all people your characters know.
It kind of feels like maybe they're friends or something. So
sure, why not?
Let's roll it just to have it.
Okay. So in this case, your link with Rembrandt, your link move doesn't go off, and I think instead you have a dark link with Rembrandt.
Oh.
You have a rivalry with Rembrandt. There's something about him. Maybe Padmé isn't a fan of his music, and feels like the type of music that he makes, jazz music, isn't something that would be acceptable on her home planet, and she's constantly trying to get him to...
I think jazz is probably fine. She just doesn't trust him.
Okay, you don't trust Rembrandt, and that's completely understandable. Rembrandt is the only person of the original group of Sliders that survived their entire campaign.
Yeah.
It's hard to know, Plus, he brought back a virus with him from his final jump that did do a genocide. It was on bad people, but it sure was a genocide.
Yeah, no, she doesn't trust that.
Mm-hmm.
She saw what happened with
Anakin. Do you have any type of link you might wish to roll with Rembrandt or Wade, Sylvanas?
I think knowing Rembrandt's style, whether or not intended for total war, I think Sylvanas identifies with that.
Okay. So you're out to roll a light link with Rembrandt?
I don't know if light. I think maybe another heart. Just like
Okay.
there's not like buds, but she feels that.
Okay, that's fair. So roll plus heart.
Oh, I need to roll.
Yeah, you got to roll. Okay, so that's an 8. So your link move doesn't trigger, but you do form a heart link with Rembrandt. All right, any more links you want to form, or should we move on with our play?
I think that's it. I don't know if Sylvanas is too tight with
Okay.
So, did Sylvanas get a heart link with Rembrandt?
Yes.
And was it light or heart with Padmé?
I don't recall. From the beginning, was it light or heart,
I
Sylvanas?
think hard. Yeah, no hard. I just have a bunch of heart
Okay.
links.
I'm noting them on the Roll20 so people can keep track.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
cool. Thank you. All right, so you fall from the portal and you land there. It's, you scuff up your knees a little bit. Sylvanas, I think you land a bit on your face, but you're able to get up before Padmé comes through, so she doesn't get to see that. And the building you are on top of is a glass building, and it's shaped like a very large letter H. And you see just behind it, there is an identical large glass building shaped like the letter H. And so this is where you have landed. And in there, you suddenly hear the sound of footsteps, and then a very strange noise, like a laser sound, and somebody lands on the top of the building behind you, very dramatically, with their hands on their hips and a cape billowing out behind them.
I think I want to roll something here.
Okay, what would you like to do?
I just kind of want to I just want to know what's going on. Like that thing where you get somewhere and try to look around and figure out what's going on. And also, can you trust that guy?
Deep dive. When you confront the
Okay.
situation in front of you and ask questions, roll with heart.
Perfect. I'm decent at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Did very much fail that heart roll before, but
Okay.
roll 2d6 plus 8. So I get to ask one question.
Okay.
What is the biggest threat?
What is the biggest threat here? I mean, the flippant answer is Sylvanas, but the real answer.
I mean, is she a bigger threat than this guy up here, or?
This guy up here doesn't necessarily seem to be a threat. He seems like he is more curious, and he's ready to become a threat. And should that happen, he looks confident in his abilities. So he's not currently a threat, but he would definitely be the biggest threat if he sees the two of you as a problem.
Does Sylvanas want to do anything here?
I have the move list.
Okay. So I'm just going to have this person introduce himself. So he has his hands on his hips and his cape. I'll describe his outfit to you. All right, so he's wearing what appears to be a knight's armor. So he's got like a metal breastplate with a gorget, shoulder pads, greaves, an armored skirt. Then beneath that he has black pants with yellow stripes on them, and a pair of bracers as well. His cape is purple, and it has a matte interior that looks like it might be velvet, and the exterior is covered in glitter. He's wearing a pair of red-tinted sunglasses that look like wings sweeping up on either side of his head, and he has swooshy blonde hair and a smile on his face, but his eyes are a little bit narrowed. His belt has a gigantic golden circle in the middle of it that has a lens of some sort. It looks like maybe a camera lens in the middle of that belt buckle. His armor is silver with golden trim in the sort of Greek style. And he looks at you with that impish grin and his purple eyes, and he says, "Well, what brings the two of you here? To stand before I, the #1 hero in all the land."
The #1 hero, huh? What's your name?
My name is... He turns and thrusts out a hand, and sparkles appear around his face. "I cannot stop sparkling."
That's your name?
Aoyama, I love him.
That is his superhero name. I cannot stop sparkling.
What's happening? Sorry, this is Minna. Love it. Okay.
You've arrived in another alternate universe fanfic world. In this one, the top hero in all the land of My Hero Academia is Yuga Aoyama, also known as I Cannot Stop Sparkling.
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand better. There's an anime happening.
It's an anime happening.
Okay. Okay, I cannot stop sparkling. We're just here to walk around.
Unfortunately, these grounds are closed to outsiders. This is the school for heroes, he says, and he swooshes his cape a little bit. I am one of the instructors here, but I must assure you that there are many more like me, perhaps not as powerful or successful, but equally a threat should you choose to put our students in danger.
Luckily for you, we're not trying to put your students in danger. We're here to help.
What could you be hoping to help us with?
There is a dangerous fugitive who's stolen a very powerful artifact, but have no fear. We are here.
He winks at you and chuckles and says, I think I like you, but can I trust you? I think you might need to do some kind of roll if you want him to trust you.
Oh, I'm trying to convince him with that.
With what?
Oh, I'm trying to convince him with that All Might reference.
Oh, okay. So you're going to roll convince somebody.
Yes.
You tell someone what you want from them and are trying to get them to do it. Roll heart, but I believe you have a move that lets you roll something else instead. If you are, is that what you're doing?
Yes, trying to convince them by rolling with dark.
Okay. Give it a try. Okay. You rolled a 9, so on a 7 to 9 they'll do it, but they need some clear assurance or evidence first. It's not every day people just appear on top of our school. How did you get here?
Sorry, out of character, I'm trying to think what the move is here.
And you could show him your timer. Maybe you have a badge.
I love the idea of us having badges.
We definitely have badges.
I think simultaneously we open up we pull out our badges.
What do your badges look like?
I'm almost thinking like Pokemon Gym Leader.
Oh my god, yes.
Perfect.
If there's different divisions, there's different colors for the different divisions.
Absolutely. Okay. So you flash these badges, and Aoyama takes a look at them. He pushes his ridiculous sunglasses a bit up on his nose as he bends over to squint. And he says, "Very well. I can see you have the proper authority to be here. And you said there was a dangerous criminal on the loose."
Have you seen anything that might look like that? Just a stranger running through your grounds? Or, besides us, obviously. Or any strange phenomena?
Strange phenomena. Haha, we deal with that quite a bit every day. But something involving... Let's see. And Aoyama flips open a smartphone that he's carrying with him and pokes through it a little bit. You can see the case he's got has got, one of those cute mascot things with bunny ears. There's some charms dangling from it as he pokes through the phone. Now I have noticed a few alerts that have been going out to the lower level heroes. Let's see here. There was a robbery at an electronics shop. That's not that unusual, but it appears that the person who did the robbery appeared in a flash of light. That could be useful to you.
Could be.
Well, come with me then. And he jumps into the air, and a blue laser, starts firing out of his knees. It appears there's some type of wiring in his suit that will redirect his belly laser to the lenses that are on his knees as well. And he starts, I guess, sort of bunny hop flying through the sky in the direction of what you would assume is this electronics shop.
We can't fly though, right?
No, you can't fly.
While we...
He's just kind of assumed that you're also superheroes and will have some way to follow him.
Sparkling, we cannot fly.
I think you're going to have to find some other way to follow him because he's already out of earshot.
Well, that was helpful.
You can still see the flashes of light every time he activates his knee lasers. So you could probably try following that.
Direction. Sylvanas, any ideas?
We follow the lights.
That seems like a good option. All right.
How are you going to get down from the top of this building, do you think?
Good question. Is there a door to a stairwell on this roof?
There's absolutely a door to a stairwell.
Yeah, just take the door.
Okay. So the two of you go into the stairwell, and it takes some time to get down to the ground from the top of this tower. And by the time you get out, it's going to be a bit tricky, I think, to figure out where they've gone. So let's see. Is there anything we should do here? All right, so you're going to try and follow the lights. The lights seem to have left on the ground in their wake. There's like a blackened circle that is starting to fade, but everywhere that he has done one of these jumps, there's a blackened circle on the ground, so you can follow those along through the streets. You may be used to, Sylvanas, getting strange looks from people when you go to a modern world style universe. But here, nobody even looks twice, because you also see all kinds of outlandishly garbed people roaming the streets, flying around, climbing things, doing flips.
Oh yeah, what is Sylvanas wearing? What is the look here? Sorry, I'm just curious.
No, that's a good question.
I think it's the very classic look. Sylvanas is the Banshee Queen. So she looks like a very regular high elf, but her skin is purple, her sclera are black, and her pupils are red. And she's wearing kind of tight hugging and lightweight, but still metal, like ranger armor.
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
How big are the shoulder pads?
Oh, they are big, because as we all know, the size of your shoulder pads denotes your importance.
Yeah, that's a WoW thing. Okay. Good. There's also like swirly golden designs on the armor, and it actually doesn't look that far different from what Aoyama was wearing.
Also, extreme eyebrow action happening here.
Indeed.
The best brows.
So what is Padme wearing? What outfit, what look is she serving in this dimension?
Honestly, I think she's doing like a classic utilitarian Padme look.
Hmm.
So, some kind of tight fitting jumpsuit slash jacket and pants combo, boots, utility belt,
Okay.
probably a cape. Who
Yeah, I
knows?
mean, obviously. Why would you not be wearing a cape? You're Padme Amidala. Okay. So you follow these along, and you get to like a strip mall, and there's a place that in our world might be a Circuit City or a Fry's or something like that, but here it has a different name. Let's see, it's called System Shock is the name of this store,
Nice.
and you can see that some of the windows have been blown out. There's glass strewn around, and Aoyama, I Cannot Stop Sparkling, is standing in front with his arms crossed, one of his feet tapping Sonic style. He turns to see you arriving. Oh, there you are! I've been
Hello.
waiting. This is the scene of the crime.
Thank you. Yes, we can see this.
One of the lower level heroes here has been beginning the investigation, but I'm sure we can take over from him, he said. And you see a boy with spiky blonde hair wearing grenades on his forearms. Like his forearms look like they are inside of grenades, and a big explosion style mask. And he grumbles at Aoyama as Aoyama shoos him away and says, "Now then, let's go inside and see what we can find with our professional skills."
Very well.
Okay. So the inside of the building is much as described. It's an electronics store. There's racks and racks of batteries, wires, other types of electronics, circuit boards, computers, and stuff. A lot of it looks to have been damaged recently. There's some things sparkling. You can not sparkling, sparking, but someone has turned off the power to this area so that it's not a fire risk. And you'll probably need to do some investigation in here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is this going to be the same move as before?
Um,
I
Probably.
suppose
There's
we're going.
also, let's see, limit break if you want to help somebody out. There's deep dive to explore things. You can always try to make a link with people that you're meeting here.
Oh,
Um,
very true.
if either of you have magical abilities or supernatural abilities, there's cast magic.
I do not. All right. I think the deep dive seems to be Padme's best move for this kind of thing.
Okay. So then you roll with heart.
Is Sylvanas doing anything to investigate?
I think Sylvanas will question Grenade Boy, see if he found anything.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, I
All
hit
right.
the wrong
Let's.
chat. Just tried to type a roll into the Twitch chat.
Okay.
Didn't work out.
No. Remember, you can also spend links to re-roll stuff as well if you
We
feel
should
it's
probably
important.
try to make a link with Aoyama.
Yeah, you're welcome to do that at any time. We should resolve this roll first. Did you want
Yes.
to spend a link to re-roll one of those, or are you going to roll with it?
Let me think. Do you does it have to make narrative sense which one you spend?
No, I don't think
Huh.
necessarily. Otherwise, I will just tell you something you wish wasn't true.
Honestly, I like that as a thing.
Okay?
That sounds more narratively interesting.
Okay. Um, so recently, during the time that you've been here in this, or there in the sort of fanfic universe, some more people from your reality have been coming through, because while you're there, you sort of exert a gravity that draws people in towards you. So people keep popping in and popping out, and they decide whether they want to hang around or if they want to return to where they're from or travel to other places, and the archive helps them with that. That's a lot of the time how crossover fan fiction gets created. So a few months ago, one of your close friends, Sabe, came through into the archive. And she was shocked, but she's competent. She's good at lots of different things. She's an intelligence agent, all the other stuff that your handmaidens are. But Sabe came through, and she decided she was going to stick around and hang out with you here. But she didn't get cleared by the professor to go on missions for some reason that you never really figured out. And it caused a bit of a rift between the two of you.
No!
What you find here on the ground is a scrap of cloth that you would recognize anywhere as being from Sabe's robe.
No! I think she picks it up and she just is like staring at it in absolute horror.
Mm-hmm. All right, while you're staring in horror...
Just how to
Go ahead.
yank on the old heartstrings there.
Well, I love Padmé Amidala. Okay, so you are staring in shock at that piece of cloth. Outside, you see... let's see. Sylvanas is speaking to the spiky-haired boy. He is standoffish, sullen. He looks angry. How do you approach this boy? Or he's not a boy, he's a grown man in this universe.
Grown-ass Bakugo.
Mm-hmm.
It must be frustrating, isn't it? Be shoved aside by people who think they're at the top.
I was going to be at the top, he says. But that guy, he's just too powerful. And once All Might took him under his wing, it's almost too much to bear. Anyway, who are you? What do you want?
We're here for looking for whoever caused all this damage. And even though Mr. Can't Stop Twinkling or whatever is making a big show with his lights and all, you were the one here doing the groundwork and actually finding something.
That's right.
Would you mind sharing that with me?
I'm not sure. You came with him, didn't you? How do I know I'm supposed to be working with you? You just showed up out of nowhere. I don't recognize you. Are you a hero? Are you a villain?
Definitely a hero.
His shoulders relax about half a fraction of an inch.
That's pretty good for Bakugo.
Yeah. You must have formed a connection. If you want him to divulge, though, you're going to have to convince him.
Should I roll the link before the convince or the other way?
That's up to you. When do you think it will be more interesting?
I think I'll try to establish the link first.
Okay. What type of link do you want with Bakugo?
I think definitely a mastery link.
You see him as sort of a potential apprentice type?
I think so.
Okay. All right, so roll with your mastery.
I'm going to use the hate lingers in every heart and then roll with dark.
Okay. You can definitely sense hate lingering in this heart. Ooh, that's an 11. That's our first full success. Okay, so your link move triggers. Let's see. Whenever another character makes a dark link, mark experience insight. I'm not sure how that works here. Well, So your link move triggers there. And when you make a link with someone... Okay. I guess it doesn't necessarily trigger at the moment because it's not relevant, but
Unless I want to flip it. I mean, because I could have used I know what lies in your heart to convince them before. So should I just swap? Because then the hate lingers in every heart. That would have been the +1 towards the mastery link. I don't know if I can.
As another character makes a dark link, so I'm not sure about that.
Oh, gotcha. Never mind.
Yeah, it's a weird move that the dark has there, but I guess it's because they're meant to be manipulating people.
Yeah.
Manipulating other people in their party as well.
Yeah. No, I just read it. All right, never mind. We're good.
Okay. So you form a mastery link with Bakugo. Did you want to roll a link with Aoyama while we're here? Doing links?
Yeah. I think I'll try to. I mean, I don't know what it's like for like deceit links. Like I guess it would be a hard because I've established that we're both heroes allegedly.
With Aoyama?
Yeah.
You could do maybe a dark link if you
All right.
don't like him much, like if you're forming a rivalry with him, if there's something about him that you don't approve of, that would be a dark link.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a little too whimsical for Sylvanas.
Okay, so roll with your dark. Another full success. Okay, so you form a dark link with Aoyama. Did you want to form a link with Aoyama?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at a light link, I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna do like the signature Padmé thing of like treat people with respect and maybe, that'll turn out to be good.
Yeah.
And useful. Because
Okay. So you got 9 there. Let's see. Okay, so your link move doesn't trigger, unfortunately, which nobody has any harm at the moment. But if anyone had harm and you were making a link and you succeeded, then everyone could have healed a harm because Sylvanas has already made a link with Aoyama. Anyway, you get a light link with Aoyama. So you can add that to your links. Okay, now you're going to try to convince, using the darkness in his heart, Bakugo to give up the information that he found in there.
Yes.
Okay, give it a try. Roll with dark. You're rolling well today.
This just means I'm gonna roll terrible later.
I know.
This is, I don't know, maybe it's making up for how things have been going over in Spectres of a Broken Sun.
Oh, that's true. We got to make up for like 3 episodes of
3
Broken Sun.
episodes. Okay. So he sort of nods, and you see him clenching his fist and then unclenching it. He says, "Yeah, I was in there. I was doing an investigation, doing a good job too. I found some evidence." And he opens his hand, and you see what you recognize as a burnt out battery from a timer. And he says, "I found this near where the epicenter of the blast appeared to be. And beyond that," he gestures back in towards the store, where you see Padmé standing looking at something in her hand, but you don't know what it is or what she's doing. He says, "They took a bunch of different power generating things like batteries, wires. Looks like they were trying to make some repairs and a soldering kit. And also, beyond that, in the back room, there's another blast. Like somebody left the way they came."
Curiouser and curiouser. Thank you for the information. And
Hey.
I think it would be beneficial to you to keep this little conversation quiet too. And I'll keep you in the loop After all, if you report this all to the head honcho there, they'll take all the credit, and you'll just get swept under the rug again.
That might be true, he says. Yes, well, I've been dismissed. And he starts to walk slowly away. Doesn't say goodbye or anything. But you see above you, the sky is starting to darken. You're pretty sure it's not evening time yet, though. Back inside, Padmé, how are you holding up?
So she's been looking at the scrap of fabric. I think she tucks it into a pocket and goes. I mean, does she see that the sky is darkening from where she is?
Well, you're inside, so you might not notice yet.
Okay, so I think she's just gonna go find Sylvanas.
Okay. You head outside. You see Sylvanas having just ended her conversation with the spiky-haired boy that you saw. And when you look up, you notice as well that the sky is starting to darken. But it's difficult to know, when you come to these new worlds, is this a normal thing? Is this not a normal thing? What the case may be.
I'm just gonna ask Bakugo, is this normal?
Well, Bakugo is walking away, but I guess
okay.
I Cannot Stop Sparkling is still here.
Oh, I Cannot Sparkling. Cool. Is this normal?
Is what normal? He looks up from a mirror that he has been looking at himself in, and glances at the sky, and then his eyes narrow, and the impish grin on his face inverts into a frown. There's no transition. It looks as if somebody just took it and then flipped it in Photoshop or something. And he says, "That shouldn't be happening. It's only 3 o'clock." And then he says, "I'm going to go check it out." And Aoyama jumps up into the air a little bit and then bounces on his knee lasers up into the sky again, heading towards where the darkness is coming from, which you may notice the darkness is not spreading from the horizon, but rather from whence you came, from the building, the school. Things appear to be
can't be good.
Yes, things appear to be darkening from there.
Sylvanas, did you get anything?
Whoever it is, they're using timers like ours, but from what the boy told me, they might be running low, or at least having some technical issues. They were looking for repair parts. Did you find anything?
No, I didn't find anything.
Oh no.
Listen, she doesn't trust Sylvanas.
Is there a move for me to call shenanigans?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh, I wonder. I want there to be one.
Well, there's push through stress, which is sort of a general move to do things that are outside of what the other basic moves are for. So I would say your attempt to deceive Sylvanas here would be a dark move. So you would roll
Me?
plus your number of dark links.
Well, I have a lot of dark links. For some reason.
Yeah, so you'd roll plus 2, I think, because you've got one with Sylvanas and Rembrandt. All right.
Can I spend links post roll or no? I think no. It's actually fun if she knows I'm. Let's do that.
I think you can spend links after you roll. If we look up under links, a playbook movement may tell you to spend a link. Let's see. A link can be spent to gain advantage on a roll, create small-scale retcons, or exchange for experience.
I don't think you can do it post thing, and I don't really want to anyway.
Okay.
Also, I don't... Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
So, on a failure, what happens?
Let's take a look. So, it doesn't actually say. This one
I
doesn't
think
have on a
that's.
failure.
I mean, I think you, as GM, have to decide
Yeah,
what
I have
bad thing
to. I have to
happens.
decide
I
what
think it's
happens here.
probably
I
that I
think.
fail on the
Yeah,
thing.
I think it is obvious to Sylvanas that you are lying. I don't
Oh, I
think.
know. She like has her hand on the pocket where the scrap is, like very
Right.
clearly, like unconsciously guarding it.
It's very obvious that you're concealing something right now. Your usual diplomatic skills have fled you in this moment of duress.
My best friend since I was like 14. Just saying.
I mean, do you know what she's doing?
No.
Hmm. Um. So, Sylvanas, you know she's lying.
You also know there's something in my pocket.
What have I got in my pocket?
So Sylvanas is a little bit of a sadist. So I think she's not even gonna acknowledge that she knows you're lying, but she's just gonna like give you that like the sideways whale eye that pets give you, and then just kind of look down to the pocket and just be like, "Shame."
Yes, a shame.
Okay. As the two of you are having this exchange, you hear from behind you a sudden explosion, and you feel the buffeting energy of, you know, the shockwave of an explosion coming from behind you, from the building you just came out of, and exploding outwards from there. And I think you should defend from harm in this case.
Okay.
When you try to prevent or avoid danger or harm from happening to either yourself or others, roll with light. Okay, so you got a 9, Padme. How about Sylvanas? Once we get that roll, we can take a little break, I think.
Cool.
Or we can just take a break. Okay, a 10. All right, so while I debate the effects of this roll, let's take a short break.
Okay. Thank you. Be right back.
All right, see you soon, folks. Okay, let's get back to the game. All right. So there was an explosion behind you from the System Shock, I believe I said was the name of the store.
Mm-hmm.
Taking notes is for losers, obviously. Can never remember
I'm a
what I
loser.
said. No. It is I who is the loser today. Okay.
No, I'm mostly really bad at taking notes anyway, so.
System Shock. Defend from harm. Okay. So, Sylvanas, you are able to avoid getting blown up. How do you do that?
Sylvanas is a nasty. It is nasty, but it's also a nifty little trick where she can just like become like whispering dust and mist.
Awesome. Padmé, you can't turn into dust and mist, at least not and survive. So, I mean, anyone can turn into dust and mist. It's the turning back that's the hard part, I think. So it costs you. You expose yourself to danger, or the GM makes a move. I'm going to make a move.
Nice.
The darkness that you saw spreading from the sky above the school is now rapidly spreading from the epicenter of the System Shock store there. And the move I'm going to make is that from that darkness, shapes begin to form. There are creatures pulling themselves out of this void that has now taken the place of System Shock. Where System Shock once was, there is simply nothing now. And coming out of that nothingness, you see a series of creatures that are also made of nothingness. They look like silhouettes in the fabric of reality. And they look like people. And each one of them is holding a very large pen. And the pen is the only thing that has any form or color. It is a red pen.
Oh.
So about a dozen of these creatures pull themselves out of the void and start slashing at the things around them with the red pen, and everything that they draw over with the red pen fades from existence.
Ooh.
What do the two of you do?
Pew pew.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I assume I have a blaster on me. I'm going to see if a shot will go through, will hurt them. I'm gonna guess not.
Well, I mean, it
But
depends.
it's worth it to try.
It depends what you're shooting at, right? So you can start firing at them. You see that if your blaster bolt strikes any part of them that's simply void, nothing. It just disappears. It becomes nothing
I'm
as
going
well.
for the pens.
Okay.
The pens look like the danger.
Okay. So in this case, I guess we'll do a little bit of combat. So in these situations, there's always cast magic, strike with intent. When you move to cause harm against another, roll with dark. Or strike to subdue. When you try to fight another without causing harm, roll with mastery.
I'm gonna strike to subdue.
Okay.
And I think before I do that, I'm going to spend my mastery link with the professor.
Okay. You hear the professor's voice in your mind, giving you some
Use the force. Sorry. Sorry. That was a joke.
I know. It's funny because the professor is staunchly against all supernatural things. He would definitely not believe in the Force.
I also don't have the force.
Yeah. Well, you know, it binds all things. It moves between us and within us.
Exactly.
And he's saying, when someone comes and tries to take something from you, instead, take something from them. It's great advice. He thinks he's a lot smarter than he is. So I guess you fire your blaster and you roll with mastery.
Yes.
And it'll
then
be
I'm gonna roll
3d6.
3d6
Yeah.
Take the highest, right?
Yeah.
Roll. I'm just gonna add my bonus after that. Roll 3d6. So 4 plus 5 is 9, plus my mastery, which is -1, so 8.
8. Okay. So choose one. Take something from them, force a change of location, de-escalate the situation.
Take something from them.
Okay. I'm going to assume it's the pen.
Yeah.
Okay. Your blaster bolt strikes the pen at exactly the right angle that this one of the dozen is carrying, and it flies out of their hand and lands tip first in a tree, like it sticks into a tree, and the tree fades from existence. The pen falls to the ground. What are you up to, Sylvanas?
I will be striking with intent and trying to just blow the pens apart.
Okay. So striking intent is roll with dark.
And can I spend my dark bond with Aoyama on this too?
Absolutely.
Oh, I shouldn't have.
Well, yeah. So your spent link what were you spending that for? Because you didn't roll an extra die there.
Oh, it's an extra die. I thought it was just a +1.
No, it's an extra die. It's like
Oh.
you roll with advantage, basically.
You roll
Oh,
3d6
gotcha.
and take the highest 2.
Okay. I don't know. Do you want to unspend that link, maybe, just in this case because you weren't quite sure what you were doing with it?
Yeah. I don't think I need it anyway. So
Okay, so it's a 12 that you rolled instead. Okay. So on a 10 plus, do harm and pick 2 from the list. So deal harm and choose 2. So defend yourself from harm, or deal great harm, or take control of the situation.
I think I'll defend myself from harm and take control.
Okay.
But also, since I have the dark makes me stronger, when I attack, I count as a small gang.
Okay. Makes sense to me. So you are dealing with these mooks. You deal harm. What was it? What was it? What does it look like? This attack you're doing.
I think as Sylvanas has, kind of navigated the multiverse, she's definitely found other people, with whom she develops a close kinship and she can learn from. So, staying on brand here, I think she probably ran into a Widowmaker at some point and copied her sniper design. So I think she's just, in lieu of her usual bow and arrow, she's just going to whip out the sniper and start blasting the pens away as best she can.
Okay. So take control of the situation. The creatures, several of them have lost their pens now, and when they lose their pen, some of them start to vanish. Others, when they lose their pen, they scramble trying to grab a new one. But as you continue to fire, the pens are sort of bouncing around, being kept away from them, and they are being kept localized by this sort of the shenanigans you're putting them through at the moment as they're trying to recover these pens and keep their pens safe from your distant assault. Padmé, what are you doing while this goes on?
Ugh. I think I'm trying to figure out, because there's a lot of them, right?
Yeah, there's about a dozen.
I think I'm gonna try and figure out, like, gonna do another deep dive.
Okay. Actually, there are about 10 now because I said some of them faded away, so we'll say there's 10.
Yeah, but that's a lot for 2 of us to take on.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
There are a lot. You're in trouble. Deep dive. Okay.
that's plus heart, which is, I keep having to reference it, even though, yeah, it's +1. All right.
Okay, you got a 10.
Oh well.
So ask 3 questions.
All right. What is the best way out of this situation?
Okay. The best way out of the situation would probably be to jump into a portal or run away.
What here is not as it seems.
These creatures are, they're not from here. You get the impression that they came here because of whatever the person with the portal gun did with the timer. Whatever they did in the back room, you think that's why they're here.
What here could I use to stop them being able to move between worlds like that?
You look down at the pen that erased the tree from existence, and you kind of get the idea, can you erase nothingness? I wonder what might happen if I tried.
Yes! Yeah, I'm going to pick up the pen.
Okay, you have a large pen.
And step towards them.
It's a lot like wielding a lightsaber.
Very difficult to do well if you don't have the Force.
Yep. It's got a glowing red tip to the pen. I mean, it's not weighted to be used as a combat instrument. But yeah, you have the pen now. You're with an experimental swipe towards one of the skittering shapes. You see that the pen seems to draw a line on reality over the shape, and that void disappears when you do.
Alright, try and get hold of the pens.
Sylvanas, you've received advice from your partner.
I will act on that advice.
Oh,
Okay.
Can I help her?
Yeah.
If she needs it.
Did you want to limit break?
Yeah, I think that's what makes sense here, because that's exactly what I was doing.
Okay, go for it.
And you help out your friends, roll with light.
I think you're definitely creating an opportunity for Sylvanas here.
Okay, on a 9, it costs me. Ooh, I'm gonna spend a link.
Okay. What link are you going to spend?
My dark link with Sylvanas.
Oh, is that link locked or is it?
I don't think they're locked when they start out.
No, you have to, I think, declare that they're locked.
Look to each player and form a link with them. It can be of any kind. They don't have to match both ways. It does not say anything about the starting links being locked.
Yeah, it just says locking a link at the top. It says sometimes a relationship. This is signified through locking a link. It doesn't say what the process of locking a link is.
I think you decide to lock a link, probably. Yeah, and we did not. So I'm going to get rid of the dark link with Sylvanas. Probably, okay. Try to make a new link after.
That's absolutely fair. Okay, what does this look like?
Well, I called out the advice. Maybe does Sylvanas listen? Is there a moment of connection there?
Yeah, it's a very subtle moment. I think there's a locking of the eyes and just like a very emphasized nod.
Yeah, and like it's clearly like Padmé is deciding I'm going to trust this person to fight at my side.
Okay. You hear from an alleyway nearby the sound of more explosions, and you see that boy coming back. He is bouncing from wall to wall, throwing explosions to propel himself quickly, and he comes screaming into the area and snatches up one of the pens. He clearly heard your advice, and he starts waving around at the creatures with it as well, screaming angrily as he does.
By the way, you get +1 forward.
Yeah. Sylvanas, what do you do with that?
I'm gonna strike with intent once again.
All right, give it a go, and don't forget your +1.
Yeah. And I think this time I'll spend my Oyama link correctly.
Okay.
Ooh, glad I spent it correctly. Oh, okay. Sorry.
You roll one more.
I rolled.
You roll a third die, and then it's not +1. So just roll another 1d6.
Yeah, I rolled the wrong die to begin with.
That's all right.
2, 3. D3. Okay.
Let's try that one again.
Numbers are
Yeah.
hard, y'all.
No, I get it.
But on 2d3, a 3 is a pretty good roll. Okay. So
6
3 plus
plus 3
3,
is 9.
6, 9. Okay. So you roll a 9 there with your strike with intent. So deal harm and choose one. Defend yourself from harm, deal great harm, or take control of the situation.
Sylvanas is a very dexterous and conscientious fighter, so I think avoiding harm is always high on her list.
Okay. So you avoid harm. Your sniper rifle is
Well,
blasting. What are you doing
oh,
with your
sorry.
attack? Sorry, go ahead. Please explain.
What I wanted to do was, while I'm while I'm doing the covering fire for myself, I wanted to get close enough to be able to pick up a pen and attack with that.
Okay. You have a pen now. And you have kept yourself safe from their marauding assaults. You're down to about 7 or 8 of them at this point. Bakugo is screaming and slashing at them, and he's doing pretty well, all things considered. Padmé, you've got yours as well. Sylvanas, you've got a pen now. I think at this point, between the three of you, you've got this under control, and you're able to force the void creatures back into non-existence, leaving just the void itself, which is continuing to slowly creep outwards from the System Shock store, swallowing reality as it goes. Bakugo looks over at you and he says, "Did you do this?"
We did not,
No,
but this is what we're here to stop.
Well, how do we do that?
I have an idea.
Hmm.
Maybe the timer, like we can rig the timer to do something. It will probably cost us at least one of our jumps.
That makes sense to
But
me.
I think that'd be cast magic effectively.
That's basically it, yes.
Do you think
Yeah.
that sounds like a good idea? Did you have any other ideas, Phil?
I was gonna try to draw some kind of lock or door using the pen.
Oh, I like the idea of trying that. Yeah.
Yeah, either way, it sounds like this is casting magic. Does one of you want to do a limit break and the other one cast magic, or do you both want to cast magic?
I think I could do a limit break. Maybe like Sylvanas pitches that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Did you want to roll a
Okay.
link with Bakugo while he's here, while we're planning about this, or Padme? Because you don't have one with him.
Sure, let's do a light link.
Okay.
So that works.
Yeah. So you gain a light link with Bakugo. Nobody has harm to heal anyway, so we're probably safe here.
Yeah.
All
Maybe
right.
let me add that.
So
And then I'm gonna add the limit break.
let's
Would
do some
be
magic.
also. I didn't roll my help remove yet.
Yeah. By let's do some magic, I mean all of the above.
Yes. All right. On a 10.
Nice.
On a 10, you get +1 forward, and it does not cost me.
Excellent.
Sweet. All right. I think I will also roll. Yeah, except to roll mastery.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll also use my link with Bakugo here since he's right here helping.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so a 9 on cast magic. On a 7 to 9, describe your magic and pick one from the list. The magic opens something. It causes a harm, it heals a harm, hits more than one entity, has no unintended consequences, creates an illusion, inflicts a semi-permanent condition, or bypasses defenses.
Could I say my permanent condition be like locked portal?
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, it works for me.
So you draw a lock, and the portal. I feel
Portal
like we're.
stops opening.
Yeah.
Okay. So it stops opening. You do see that the whole plaza around it, nothing is moving there at all. So it's not just the portal, but there's basically this city block you've put in stasis. Because you're not really familiar with how this pen works, but it's better than allowing it to continue sucking everything into the void. So that's taken care of, and Bakugo puts the pen across his back, and it just sort of sticks there as if it had a magnet. And he says, "Look, up in the sky." And points back over in the direction of the school where Aoyama jumped off to. There's another one of these portals that has opened up above the school. And you can see there's blasts of laser light and flames and other stuff. It appears there's multiple people over there attempting to deal with that portal. At this moment, there is a beep in Padmé in your pocket. A beep and a little vibration from the timer that you have.
I'm gonna pull it out and look at it.
It's counting down. You have 10 seconds before it opens a portal.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out and grab Sylvanas' arm. We have 10 seconds.
Bakugo says, "You're leaving?"
We don't have much of a choice. You have the pen, take it, and lock the other portal the same way that Sylvanas did.
He grunts and says, "All right," and blasts off into the sky. The portal opens in front of you, coming out from the timer. There's a blue and white melding. Yes.
Can I try and make a light link with Sylvanas? Or maybe a heart link?
You can absolutely do which one of those you think is best.
Okay. I think it's gonna be heart. Because it's not like definitely positive, but we're starting to trust.
Okay.
Okay, roll 2d6. I think it's +1, yeah. I do, unless...
No, it sounds like you do, but you don't get you don't get your link move.
I didn't know if it was the not getting the link move or if you wanted to make it weird.
I'm not going to make it weird for you right now because I think this is a nice moment between your characters.
Yeah. Ready?
Ready.
Now we jump together.
Nice. Okay, you jump into the portal, and it is that similar whooshing, wishing thing going back and forth all over the place until you are spat out into the middle of a room that is You're spat out into the room, and you roll down a ramp that has been erected in front of some type of structure. And you roll down the ramp, and you land on the ground. You look up, and you see ranks of soldiers, all of whom have guns pointed at you. And there is one of them who is wearing a cap and gear, looking like he's about to go on a mission. A group of them, actually. And he looks and he says, "That's not how this normally works."
Padmé holds up both hands. We come in peace.
Looking around the room, you see that at the top of the ramp that you fell down, there is a large circle etched with a number of different runes of some sort that was spinning and has slowly come to a stop. So,
what were you expecting?
He looks at you and he says, he pushes his hat back and scratches his face. He says, "Normally, we go through the gate when we dial it."
Oh.
And there's so this guy, he looks like he's middle-aged. He's pale of skin. He's got white hair in a buzz cut under his hat, military gear. Behind him there is a competent-looking blonde woman, also geared up for battle, and a man with round glasses and medium length hair. He's also geared up, but not as much as the others. And he says, isn't that normally how it happens? We dial the gate, and then we go through the gate. If somebody dials the gate, they come through the gate, and then we shoot them. Like, we dialed.
Please don't shoot us.
They came through. And Carter says, yes, that's right, Jack, but clearly that didn't happen today, and we're going to have to deal with this.
Perhaps we dialed at the same time.
So this Jack guy, he doesn't have his hand on his gun, and he's looking at the other soldiers, and he looks down at the two of you, and he says, so who are you?
We are people who only want to help.
And he shrugs and says, well, if you're not, I guess we can still shoot you. And he takes his hand away from his weapons, and he gestures at the soldiers who lower their weapons. I think we'll stay in here for now, though. We were about to head out on a mission. But I guess, welcome to Stargate Command.
Thank you.
We will probably have to arrest you, though, unless there's a reason we shouldn't.
I would prefer that you not arrest us. I think we're going to be doing to convince somebody, right?
It sounds like we're headed in that direction.
Is he angry?
He's not angry. He's just baffled.
Okay, convince somebody with heart is fine. Yeah, I'm going to roll 2d. 6 less.
Do we still have guns pointed at us?
No, they are not pointing the guns at you at the moment.
Rolled a 5.
You did roll a 5. Okay, convince somebody.
So I think what she's saying is, please don't arrest us. I promise. We are here to help, and whatever you're going up against, it's not us.
He says, I wish I could trust you, but the Goa'uld can look like anyone. Even, he glances at Sylvanas. I mean, you do pretty much look like a Goa'uld. You're going to have to forgive us for our suspicion. But maybe we can talk more in the other room. And the guns do come up again, but they're like, just follow me. So they're leading you towards a door at the side of this room. You can look up, you can see there's a large window facing the gate, and there's a bunch of people busying themselves in there. There's a balding guy in a white shirt, a white military uniform shirt, who's on a phone yelling at someone else. There's another person in this room as well. He's a large man who's bald and has a symbol picked out in gold on his forehead. He's carrying a staff that has like a bulb on the end of it instead of a gun like everyone else. And they don't look like they want to shoot you, but they do look like they will if you don't go with them.
Yeah, I think we go with them unless...
Yeah. Not much of a choice.
Okay. You find yourselves in a small room with this Jack guy, and Carter is also there, and the guy with the glasses, and the tall guy with the gold thing on his head. They're all there in the room with you. You've been shown to some seats, not handcuffed, but Jack has taken his hat off again, and he just looks really harried at this point. Like, he looks like this is the kind of thing that happens to him a lot, and he hates it. He says, okay, so we're just going to skip ahead. I assume you've shown them your badges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He says, okay, so these are your badges. You're from an interdimensional authority archive, and your job is to protect alternate universes.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. He starts fiddling with a wedding ring on his finger, and he looks over at the blonde woman and says, "This science stuff, honey, this is your area. Why don't you take this?" And she pats him on the cheek and says, "Okay, dear." And sits down and says, "So what brought you to our planet?"
Well, that's hard to explain.
Can you try?
So we have these devices that help us jump from universe to universe, but they're a little bit opaque, is the best word to use, I think, here. We don't know why they chose this universe, but they did, and that probably means that something that we're tracking has come this way.
What kind of thing are you tracking, and how would we recognize it?
Well, how would you describe how they looked in the last place?
It looks like a 90s cell phone, basically, but with a dial on the front.
Oh, because we're tracking the other timer. That's right. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Well, it's gonna be. I mean, I have another one, right? Like they look the same.
So yeah, pretty much. Very similar.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull out my timer and say, well, it's gonna look like this. One of them's been stolen.
She looks at it. Is that a portable Stargate generator? May I look at it, please?
Don't push any buttons or anything, but I mean, it's quite possible we have similar technology that looks. Yes. And she slides it across the table.
Yeah, and Carter picks it up and takes a look at it. Jack is talking quietly to the tall guy with the gold shape on his head. You hear him call the other man Teal'c, and the guy with the glasses is furiously writing notes in a notebook. He says, "Daniel, get over here." And the guy with the glasses looks up and goes over to confer with Jack and Teal'c in the corner, while Carter is examining your technology. She says, "Now we did have an unusual anomaly earlier today in the base. It's actually what we were heading out to investigate when you arrived. Now," she says, she pulls up a screen on a video on there's a TV screen up in the corner, 90s style, hanging from the corner of the room on a huge brace because it's one of those big vacuum tube TVs. And you see a scene from that room you were just in. There's a flash of blue light. Somebody wearing a robe of orange and red appears, and as there is an alarm going off all of a sudden and people are running towards the room with guns, this person in the robe does something to the thing in her hand, points it at the gate, and the gate spins, and a explosion of what looks almost like water comes out of it, and then it settles into a placid pool, which she leaps into. By the time the people with the guns get here, the pool of light in the middle of the circle has disappeared. She said, "We've been tracking the coordinates that this person went to, and we think we know where they are, but I don't know, there's so many strange energy readings we've been getting." And she finishes poking at but not pressing buttons on your device. "It seems the energy from the entrance is similar to the one that when you arrived. So this portal that you opened, it wasn't a Stargate, it just happened to open right in the middle of ours."
Yes.
"You're using the same technology as this person who ran through the gate. You said, are you pursuing them, or are they friends of yours?"
We are pursuing them. We don't yet know who they are.
Okay. She looks at you.
Multiple people wear that robe.
Yeah, you're right. She looks at you and narrows her eyes for a moment, but then she turns to Jack and says, "Jack, I think we should take them with us."
Also, am I right in assuming that the robe that the person was wearing was like the flame handmaiden robe from episode 1?
That's the one.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would definitely recognize that.
I was just making sure I was interpreting you correctly.
Mm-hmm. And Jack turns to Carter and says, "I guess it couldn't hurt. Are they carrying weapons? Because they shouldn't be.
Why not?
I mean, I don't trust you. And if I'm going to be taking you to an alien planet, I don't want you to shoot me in the back. I've been through this dance before.
Then we'll walk in front, and you don't have to be worried about being shot in the back.
I think you should try to convince someone.
Can I remember what to roll for?
It depends. If you're using your move, you roll with dark. If you're doing regular convince someone, you roll with heart.
I still could probably use my move. I'm trying to, emphasize that I will not be parting with the weapon.
Okay.
Yeah, and also that they can absolutely just fucking shoot you in the back.
Okay, so you got a 9. How should this go? He said clear assurance or evidence first. Okay. He says, all right, you'll walk in front of us, and he gestures to Carter. Carter's going to hold on to that. He points to the timer.
I'm gonna look at Carter. Promise me, you will not activate it.
He says, I wouldn't even know how. He says, I'm just going to hold on to it so that we're all trusting each other as much as we can.
Very well. And I'm going to use my move, I know you will. When you take someone at their word, create a heart link with them. If they break their word, break the link, and have the offending player break another light link. Which
Okay.
I don't think it applies to an NPC, but...
Yeah. Okay.
Do I have to roll for this heart link, or do I just make it?
I think you just make it. That's the move you have, right?
Okay, so I have a heart link with Carter.
Okay.
Which I wanted anyway, so hey.
We all want a heart link with Carter.
I don't know Carter or Stargate, but I'm enjoying her so far.
She's very good. Okay, so you head back to the gate room, and they dial up the gate again. It's compared to your timer. This creates portals to other planets, but not necessarily other dimensions. Carter is explaining. And we have to know the coordinates of the planet where we're going to go, and we have to adjust for, the drift of galaxies and so on and so forth. And she's explaining to you all the fascinating technology behind this system that links planets together through these gates and wormholes. And as she's doing that, the gate is slowly going chunk, chunk, as different symbols make their way up to this caret at the top of the circle, and then move on and come back. So these are the coordinates they're inputting. It's like a giant rotary phone, basically. Each one symbol that's part of the coordinates has to go up to the caret at the top and then back to the beginning, and that's how they dial. So it takes some time. But they lock all of their symbols, and then that explosion that looks like a jet of water comes out again and then heads back, and you see that placid pool of water. And Jack gestures towards it and towards you and says, after you.
All right, let's go.
Traveling through the Stargate wormholes is actually very similar to traveling through your sliding dimensional gates, but it's colder and it takes longer. But when you walk out the other end, you see that you are walking through another one of these rings, one of these star gates. So you don't risk falling on the ground or landing in a tree or something like you do with your timers. So that's nice. You just walk out onto some stone steps and you walk down them to find yourself in what appears to be Coruscant.
Oh! Are you... I'm sorry. Is this some kind of trick? Or Oh, you can go to different universes.
He
I
blinks
thought
at
this
you.
was just.
What do you mean?
This is my home. And as far as I know, my home does not have this technology.
Carter frowns, and she comes out and looks around and says, "You live here?" And if you look more closely, you start to notice that things aren't quite right. Because if you take a time to notice, the buildings are crumbling. The streets, the canyons in between those ancient buildings that are normally filled, packed with speeders, are empty and silent. Nothing is flying around here. You don't see any movement. This is just a dead planet, an ancient, crumbling city.
What? Do you know what this planet is?
Our records say it's called Coruscant.
And how long ago? Do you have any record of its history?
Not that we found yet. I mean, this is our first time here. We're just following the coordinates that we found when that last person came through the gate. It looks like whatever happened here happened a long time ago, though.
Millennia, perhaps?
Maybe. I'd have to study more, but this isn't the first ruined city we've visited. A lot of the planets we come to have fallen civilizations, or... You look troubled.
The last time I saw this, it was a bustling planet alive with life on every inch of its surface.
I'm sorry.
I'm I'm sure it's just things are strange when you travel the way that we do. I'm sure I'll get used to it. So you say that the person who had the other timer came here.
As far as we can tell.
Is there a way to track them?
Well, we're going to look, she says.
Okay.
That's really more Jack's area than mine and Teal'c. But let's set up I'll set up the base camp here. Do you want to give me a hand with that, maybe? She says as
Yeah, okay.
a a drone vehicle drives through the gate behind you, and then the pool of light disappears as the gate closes, and the remote vehicle, like not a remote vehicle, the drone vehicle drives over. It's got all kinds of supplies on it for research and exploration that she starts setting up as she chats with you. Sylvanas, you probably know about Coruscant, whether you've been to one or not.
Yes.
Yeah, Teal'c and Jack are standing around with you. You see Daniel is heading over to help set up the camp. Not what you were
I think I
expecting?
would- Not at all, but nothing lasts.
Oh, well. Can tell that to my hairline, he says. What were you going to say when I interrupted you with my dialogue?
Oh no! I was gonna say, I think they can probably handle setting up their own camp. So I think I would want to try to find like a nearby, some kind of high ground where I could set up Overwatch.
Okay. You're surrounded by tall buildings. So uh, you could try to climb one of them um, and set up a camp or an Overwatch point around here. And in fact, Jack is looking around with a pair of binoculars at the tops of the buildings as well. And he leans over to you and points at one that's behind the gate and to the left of it. And he says, I saw your rifle. That looks like as good a point as any. I'll send one of my men up there with you.
I'll just give a nod and head over.
Okay. Teal'c follows you, the large man with the gold symbol on his head, and he seems fairly taciturn, but he gives you a nod as you head off towards the building together, and he says, "It is my intention to keep an eye on you. However, I will also be assisting you in your sentry duties."
I appreciate the candor. And
He
I think I will
nods.
try to roll a heart with Tilt.
Okay.
Yeah, I would roll my heart score, right?
Yes. Okay. So you form a heart link with Teal'c. It's Teal''C, because of course there's an apostrophe. And the two of you make your way up to the top of that building together.
All right.
Okay. So Jack is starting to, with some of his scouts, look around and try to find tracks and look for, any trace of this person. Sam and Daniel are helping to set up the camp with Padmé. How are things looking there?
I think she's like helping as best she, putting her hands to work. That's always been a good, helpful thing. um, and just kind of like looking around, like trying to spot landmarks. Is the building where she used to live still around here? Is the Jedi Temple still around? Is the Senate complex still around?
As you look around, you can still see those landmarks. Like, you know where they are, you know what they are. You can see that the Jedi Temple looks to be in worse repair than the Senate building. You would get the impression, perhaps, that the uh, Senate building was in use more recently than the Jedi Temple.
I'm having a thought.
Yeah.
If it is Sabe, I wonder if she would go to a familiar place, if she would go to either the apartment she had in Coruscant or the apartment Padme had.
Good thinking.
I think she's having this thought and she turns to Carter. If I had a hunch and I wanted to investigate it,
She looks up at you and raises her eyebrows, indicating that you should go on.
would I be allowed to do so? Am I allowed to strike out?
"I can come with you," she says. "Oh, and I could join you as well." Daniel stutters out.
Why is Daniel stuttering?
He's a big nerd.
Oh.
This is an early season.
I just wanted. I don't know these characters. I don't. Is there like a dynamic that I'm not seeing? Does he
Um,
like Carter or is he just nervous?
I think he does like Carter, but not in a hopeful way.
Okay. Oh. So it's Carter's decision.
Yeah, Daniel has no rank. That's
I mean, whether Daniel comes.
Yeah, no. Carter will nod and she'll say, "Yeah, we could always use your expertise on ancient civilizations, Daniel."
Ancient civilizations. I will never get used to that. All right. This way.
All right. They follow you.
And I think she's gonna start towards her own apartment first because that was a longer standing arrangement, I think.
Okay. I'm just putting pictures of all these characters in our chat here so
I
you can
know,
see
I
what they look
see.
like.
Is that Daniel with the glasses?
That's Daniel with the glasses.
Oh.
Glances.
Sam is the lady. Jack is the frustrated-looking guy. And then Teal'c is the guy with the awesome staff. He's an alien.
Teal'c looks great.
He is great.
I'm liking that look.
It's
Anyway.
a good show. It's a good show. Anyway.
I'm very much enjoying this portion of the Interstitial.
Okay, so they follow you down, and Sylvanas up on the top of the building with Teal'c. He settles down into a crouch and is holding his staff pointed down towards the plaza below with Stargate in it. And he squints and has a pair of binoculars by his side. He looks over to you and says, "Your comrade appears to be striking out into the city."
I think she's trying to find something that's not here anymore.
"Do you wish to accompany her? I may remain here on sentry."
I should make sure she doesn't get into any more trouble.
He nods. And you see him looking pointedly down at Jack, as Jack is... he was in the middle of doing some scouting and appears to have stubbed his toe on something. He's pointing his gun at it and yelling. And Teal'c says, "I understand." How do you go about following Padmé? Are you making it obvious, or are you trying to, like, trail her?
I'm trailing. I'm being shady.
Yay!
Okay. Do you think this is something Padmé might notice? Is this something we should roll over, or do you want to just let this go because Padmé is distracted? What's your thought?
I want to let this go because I think that's the most fun for the plot.
Okay. Good. So you are all walking
Secrets are no
down.
fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely Slenderman style. Like every time we get those panoramic views of Padme in the center, you can just see like Sylvanas up in a corner.
Where's Sylvanas? Sylvanas suddenly wearing a striped red shirt. Okay, you are finding there are a lot of challenges in navigating Coruscant when there is no power here. Perhaps unsurprisingly.
You're not really supposed to navigate it by foot.
No, you're really not. So, I think there's probably a lot of grappling hooks involved in this sequence.
Yeah, for sure. I think she even has to like do a grappling hook to try and get into the building because it's higher up because I think it had like views of the city or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's higher up. There's a balcony though. We know there's a balcony because...
Yeah, for sure. That comes in a lot.
Yeah, it sure does. All right, so you are... I guess you and Sam are climbing up the side of the building, Batman style, and I guess Sylvanas is just... Is Sylvanas able to like teleport with the turning into dust thing, or is that just something?
Yeah, she can.
Okay.
Padmé still has the gun that has the grappling thing on from episode 1.
Yeah, I mean, why would you get rid of it? It's a grappling hook gun.
It's so useful. I don't even know if that was part of the gun or what. What was that? Who knows?
Doesn't matter.
You gotta
It's
keep
here
it in
now.
the belt next to the shark repellent.
I have said she's wearing a utility belt.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Daniel is also climbing, but he keeps kind of slipping, and Sam is just making deep sighs and yanking him up behind her each time. They're linked together. Like, the three of you are linked together because you're climbing.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going first. Sam is in the middle because she knew this was going to happen.
So do we make it up to the balcony?
You do. You make it up to the balcony.
Alright.
Yeah, here you are. At the top of Coruscant.
I think she turns and like does one sweeping look over the city and then like tries the door.
Yeah, it's strange looking out over the city because it almost... You feel like you should recognize everything, and you do, but it's just so strange to see it without the twinkling lights, without the traffic, without anything.
Empty, dead, silent.
Yeah. It's wrong. Okay. So you make your way into the balcony, and from there into your apartment. You probably have to force the door, but it's not too difficult to do. Actually, it probably would be difficult. I imagine Padmé's door is armored, right?
Yeah.
Especially after that thing that happened in episode 2. Okay. So how do you get through this door?
Ooh. I'm looking at at the basic moves to see if there's anything that helps me.
You also have an artifact that's capable of removing things from existence if there's no move that will work.
Yeah. Well, push through stress is a move that exists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if she like tries the keypad and like it still has her code, but I don't know why they wouldn't have like.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely try the keypad, but there's no power, so you're just
there's
pressing
no power,
your finger
so
against a plastic screen.
What she's gonna do basically is like try to what's it called? Hotwire the keypad opening thing.
Okay. What are you going to use to give it like power or a spark?
I'm gonna feed it power from the timer because I assume it has quite a bit of power and it doesn't take much to power a door.
Okay. As you are going to plug wires into your timer, which you suddenly remember you don't have on you.
Oh, Sam has it.
Yeah, Sam has it, but she says, you trying to feed power to that panel?
I am.
She says, oh, okay. Here, just use my walkie-talkie. And she hands you a rectangular thing with an antenna on it.
Awesome. I think because she's helping me out, I'm going to spend a link for advantage.
Okay.
On this roll, and I think it's going to be... What is the actual...
I think this is mastery. With your mastery links.
6 plus 5 plus 0, 11.
11. Okay. So you hotwire the door, you use a little juice from the battery in the walkie-talkie, and the door panel opens, and your code still works.
Nice. So we step inside.
You step inside, and there's that gorgeous apartment that we've seen Padmé in, with the sweeping views over Coruscant, and the chairs, little glass table in the middle. I'm trying to remember what else is in that apartment. Yeah, there's those weird
I think.
Yeah. A lot of things are worn away and threadbare. There's dust all over everything.
Yeah.
The steps leading down into the sunken living room, are there, but you see on them some of the dust has been recently disturbed.
Ooh. Yeah. She's gonna go that way.
Okay. Where's Sylvanas now?
I don't remember how the building is made, but I don't think there's any sort of high ground she could be where she could have a vantage point. At this point, does she have to just follow very close?
Yeah. You would have to be in a building across the way and peeking through the windows. Otherwise, you should just probably come into the apartment if you want to be in there and see what's happening.
I mean, if I can be in like a building across the way, seeing from another like apartment, I'll probably do that.
Okay. Yeah, yes, you can do that. If you've got like binoculars or something, it would probably help, because I don't think
I
this.
have elven eyes.
Yeah, you've got elven eyes. You're fine. I don't think this building is that close to its neighbor, from what I recall. But yeah, we'll say that you can.
Also be creeping on the balcony.
Creeping on the balcony.
Oh, Batman style.
Yeah.
I wonder if Padmé has met Batman in this universe.
God.
You remind me of someone. Okay, so you're creeping on the balcony. Padmé, you go down the steps into the sunken living room and through the door into what used to be your bedchamber.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that someone has been here, definitely, very recently. and there is one of those blast marks on the ground, like the one you saw in System Shock, that denotes somebody opened a portal here. Yeah, there's probably other stuff going on in here, but you might need to investigate if you want to get more.
I can investigate.
Okay.
That's another one of those heart rolls, right?
Yes.
I just tried to roll in the chat in the Twitch again. Too many chats. 7. Okay,
7.
So I think I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, what's my question? Maybe what was done here recently? Besides opening a portal, obviously.
Okay. Looking around this room, you feel suddenly very uneasy because this room looks almost exactly as it did when you last left it in your world. The same pictures, the same arrangement of, furniture. You look in the closet and see that the closet is open. Many of the same hangers are there, even though most of the clothes have sort of rotted away and faded away. And you look in and you see that there are still some of your robes that have survived all this time. Whatever material they were made of clearly made it through.
It's that silk that's reinforced to, like, the armor for blaster fire.
Yeah, the armored silk. And you see one of the hangers that would have had your ceremonial robes on them is empty, but not because the clothes on them have rotted away, because somebody took them. And yeah, somebody took them, and it looks like the robes and the elaborate headdress, these are clothes you probably would have worn as queen, that you held on to, perhaps for sentimental reason, is gone.
What are you trying to do?
All right. That's what you find. What was done here recently, they took one of your robes, and then they went through a portal.
I need to find Sylvanas. I need to find where this portal went.
Okay. Do you call for her, maybe, or go outside to look?
Sorry, that was her saying it to Carter.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm not very good at voices.
No, that's fine.
Hard to tell.
And Carter says, "Oh, sure, I'll radio back to base." And she gets up her walkie-talkie and says, "Teal'c," and she hears, "Yes, Sam Carter." He says, "Teal'c, is Sylvanas still with you?" "No, Sam Carter." "Do you know where she is?" "Yes, Sam Carter." Sam pauses. She puts the radio down. She puts the radio down, and then she, pinches the bridge of her nose for a second, takes a breath. "Teal'c," she says back into the radio. "Yes, Sam Carter." And she pauses again. "Where is Sylvanas gone?" And Teal'c says, "Sylvanas followed you to ensure your safety." She says, "Thank you, Teal'c." "You are very welcome, Sam Carter."
That's not how we asked this to work.
So Teal'c has narked on you to his commanding officer, Sylvanas, sorry.
Sylvanas.
Definitely gonna pull up Batman and just show up behind you.
Oh, goodness. Hi. That portal, we need to know where it went.
Agreed. And do we have any way of tracking these ourselves, with our timers, or?
Your timer appears to be set to pick up the trail and then form a portal from there. That's what happened in the last world. You were near where the last portal had been generated, so it copied those coordinates. So it should do the same thing here.
Carter, please, we need the timer.
She looks at you and remembers that she gave her word, and she sighs and says, Jack's gonna kill me. And she takes it out of her pocket and hands it over to you, just as you see that it's starting to beep and vibrate. The timer says you have 10 seconds.
Okay. It was wonderful meeting you. I think we're going to go now.
She steps back and says, Daniel, you should probably duck and cover. And he looks up from his notebook. He's been making a sketch of this room and looks up and pauses. Yes. And he goes back out of the room and peeks around the door frame. As your portal opens, Sam turns to you, Padmé, and she puts her hand up to her forehead in what you take to be some type of signal of respect.
I'm definitely gonna, God, what symbol of respect does Naboo do? I guess bow to her in return.
Okay. You bow. The portal opens behind you, making those noises. This will probably be your last jump.
Uh-huh.
So after this, there's only one more charge. Okay. You go through the portal. It's clearly taking you through different dimensions. You hear the sounds that you always hear when you're sliding between dimensions and realities. And finally, you find yourself expelled onto a grassy hillside. And the grassy hillside is overlooking a city. And the city is Theed.
I'm so sorry.
So you look over the city, and in fact, you recognize this. Obviously, you recognize Theed. And it is not a ruined city this time. It is Theed as you know it, but it is actually Theed as you knew it, say, a decade ago. You know this because it's under attack.
Uh-huh. From droids?
From droids.
Uh-huh. Okay. She's going to turn to Sylvanas, pull the scrap out of her pocket, and hold it up. I found this back when we were with the superheroes. And I'm pretty sure I know who it belongs to. And sorry, go ahead.
No, she's waiting for you to finish.
Okay, so where do I start? My friend from my world, who was at the base, she probably had a robe still that looked like this, and she would be able quite easily to steal my clothes as she did in Coruscant and come here and impersonate me. I don't know how she's going to impersonate a 14-year-old me, but makeup hides a lot, it turns out, and I don't know why, but she's going to pretend to be the Queen of Naboo and change something? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, and I am really worried because I don't know what would drive her to do all of this. I'm supposed to know her. Anyway, we should probably go into the city.
I've never been, so I'll follow your lead.
Does Padmé know, like, secret passageways and stuff?
Oh, yeah. This is your planet.
Yeah, like, we're able to break in, probably. I don't know if you want me to roll anything to, like, avoid droid patrol.
I think the droids are fairly busy, and you don't look like the Queen right now.
No, we don't.
They're not looking for you. But I think we should probably do some kind of roll to make this interesting.
Probably getting into the palace is going to be the hard part, especially into like royal areas.
Yeah. So yes, I think this will do a push through stress to see how the two of you are able to make your way into the palace to where you know that you are with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Panaka and who else was there?
Panaka, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon,
Qui-Gon, right?
handmaidens. This is after they come back after the Senate?
This is when you're trying to escape when the droids are invading. Do I have my timeline messed up?
The beginning part. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know which portion of them being in the city while it was attacked.
Yeah, it's the beginning part.
So it's the initial invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, the upside is she knows where she's gonna be.
All right, so who wants to make this roll, or do you want to have one person help out and the other person push through stress?
I can push through stress. Do you want to help out?
Sure. What is my help roll?
That's limit break, which is roll with light.
I don't know if you want me to roll on.
You can always spend links. You have lots of links. We're almost at the end of the game.
True, yeah.
Spend those links. Okay, so you can spend one of your links to roll with advantage there. Which link do you want to spend?
I'll spend Teal'c's link because he narked on me.
That's fair. What kind of push through stress do you think this might be?
I think it's gotta be. I don't know.
Like
light or hard?
I guess let's say light because this is your friendship is what you're worried about here.
All about like my best friend and
yeah.
everything that we've fought for together for so many.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be a roll +2. Oh, +3 though, because I gotta.
It's your highest one. All right, an 11. Okay.
Oh, that would even be 12 if because it is my highest one, and I got the.
All right, awesome. So, you are so single-minded in your movements here. You know this area like nothing else. It's an intimate knowledge that you have with this planet and this city in particular, and this memory is something, of course, that's very important to you. Let's see here. Oh no, I'm thinking of the wrong invasion. This is the one that's got Anakin at it.
I think. Oh, this is before Anakin. Yeah.
I'm thinking of the one that has Anakin there.
Okay, then it's the second. It's the second part where they come back.
Okay.
They are probably. This might be the part where they're like invading the royal wing and.
Yeah.
Going to capture. What's his face. Etc. Etc. I should really remember more how the end of this movie goes.
Well, whatever the case is, in this version of events, Amidala is there, and
two versions of Padmé are breaking into the royal wing right now, basically.
Yeah. Actually, no. You know what? Let's make this more interesting. We will do this in the first invasion. So this is Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are trying to get you out, as I recall.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's what's happening. So you make your way there, and you see, making their way through the square, you see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are there with Panaka and what appears to be you and your handmaidens.
The one in the queen garb is Sabe.
The one in the queen guard is Sabe, yeah. But this appears to be You know this. No one else would. This isn't the Sabe who's supposed to be here.
Mm. Mm. I'm just gonna run into the square.
Okay. You run into the square, and Sabe turns and sees you, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan turn towards you like in a defensive stance in front of Sabe. And you see Panaka looking very confused, and the handmaidens as well. You see one among them is in particular like, what the... what in the world?
The ghost of Christmas future.
And Qui-Gon squints at you, and Obi-Wan says, of course, "Hello there. What are you doing over there?"
The better question is, what are you doing over there? Looking directly at Sabe.
Qui-Gon turns towards Sabe and looks down, and his eyes widen because she has a blaster in his gut.
What are you doing? Why would you put any of this in danger?
Sabe looks to you, and you can see there are tears in her eyes. And she says, "This is where it all started. If Qui-Gon never finds Anakin, then you won't have to die."
You don't know that. You don't know that Anakin never gets found by anybody. And you don't know that if you change this, that Naboo won't fall to the Trade Federation. You don't know what you'll change.
"I know I'll change one thing," she says.
Don't. Please don't.
"I've been to so many worlds like ours, and in all of them, you die. And I can't see it happen again. I won't see it happen again. Someone has to set this right."
Maybe I would make every choice that I made again, even if it meant that I really did die. I know that things don't end well. But there were no better choices that I could have made, or that you could have made. Killing Qui-Gon is not going to make things good again.
What is Sylvanas doing while this interaction is happening?
Was I out in the open, or did Padme just run ahead by herself?
Padme
Padme
ran
ran
ahead
in.
into the square. You might still be undercover.
So if I'm still undercover, I'm gonna try to sneak around to the side and get a clear shot at fake Padme.
Okay.
At Sabe?
Yeah, you're in position.
I'm so stressed out.
What do you want to do here, Padme?
Me?
Yep.
I was thinking that I'm basically trying to do a convince someone.
Okay.
Okay, let me roll plus heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely spending a link.
Whose link are you going to spend here?
Bakugo's, these links don't matter anymore. Roll 3d6.
Ooh.
7 plus 1 is 8.
Okay.
They'll do it, but they'll need some clear assurance or evidence.
And you're asking her basically to stand down here.
Yeah, like I'm stepping forward, like basically going to like try and like gently take the gun from her.
Okay. All right. You are stepping forward to take the gun from her as you do, and she looks at you, and you can see a whole mess of complicated emotions going over her face and in her eyes. And she finally starts to lower the weapon, and Qui-Gon steps away from her. He's still got his lightsaber out, but he just looks hurt, um, devastated, having heard what he just did. And you, at 14, come out from amongst the handmaidens and take the gun from Sabe's hand as she is making that. She does a very quick, like, just grabs it as you are approaching. And she looks at you. You look at you. And she says, "You would make all the same choices again?"
All of them, even the bad ones, because I made the choices I had to when I did.
Padme nods, and she says, "Then so will I." And she turns to Qui-Gon and the other handmaids, and she says, "Quick, we must find our Sabe." And you are left, like, Qui-Gon is looking at you and at Sabe, and he looks back at you and he says, "Should we go?"
You have your own path to walk. I won't interfere in it.
He nods and says, "May the Force be with you."
And with you, always.
He does a slight bow and turns to rush after 14-year-old Padme. Sylvanas.
I'll keep the sights trained on her just in case she tries anything shifty, but at the moment, I'm just observing.
I'm so sorry this has become Padme drama time.
Okay. You are face to face with Sabe, the Sabe that you thought you knew, but it's not clear now whether this is your Sabe or a Sabe from another Star Wars prequel universe.
Why? Why all of this now?
She sighs and looks down. "I found a book, and the book told me what I could do to make sure that there is only one timeline for everything, for every story. And I thought, if I could fix yours and wipe out the others, you wouldn't have to die. And then I could finally fulfill my duty."
If there were only ever one timeline, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
If it were the right timeline, you would.
But how do you know what's right? For everyone in every situation.
How can it be right for you to die?
It wasn't right for me to die, but it happened.
Only in this one timeline.
Only in this one?
It's the only one I found.
The only one where I died.
The only one where you didn't.
Has it occurred to you that if it happened that many times, that maybe there just weren't any good choices. And I don't want to say no good choices. No choices. The both of us have always been willing to lay down our lives for. That's why you were made my bodyguard, my handmaiden, my friend. And that's why I stayed when the Senate was going sour, when everything was going to pieces. And that's why I'm here with this archive. Because all you can do is try and make the best choices going forward. You can't change what other people do. And you can't change the past.
She sighs deeply. You're right. Of course. And you see above her, the sky is darkening in that familiar way again, as the void begins to open and the creatures begin swarming out, many more than before. Hundreds.
If you erase everything, you're not doing it for me. You're doing it to ease whatever anger and fear are.
She
if you do this,
nods.
she won't be my handmaiden anymore.
And she says, I understand. She turns away and reaches into her robes. She has in her hand one of those pens. And she says, there is only one way to ensure that your wishes are granted. And that is to change the past. You said you can't do that, and you're right. But you can change reality. And she turns the pen towards herself and begins to draw a line.
No.
What do you do?
Grab the pen.
Sylvanas,
What do you do?
you're in position.
I mean, I don't know if I can hear from there, but would I have?
You
am
can
I able
hear
to,
her
like,
say,
you know, gather?
You can hear Padmé say no.
No, but I mean, as far as her turning the pen on herself, do I understand what she's trying to do?
Do you want to roll for it, or do you want to assume that Sylvanas is competent enough to remember what the pen does?
I mean, I can roll if you need me to, but I think Sylvanas can work it out.
I think Sylvanas can probably work it out.
So, I mean, what I would want to roll for is, would Sylvanas just taking the shot have the same effect, or, does, like, it have to be the pen?
I think you have to take something from her. I think you have to take that pen away from her before she can cancel herself. Not cancel, that's not the word I want. Before she can remove herself from reality.
No, what I'm saying is, like, as far as Sylvanas knows, the only way to, like, stop all these incursions is to get rid of her.
I don't know. That may be something you want to do a deep dive on.
Yeah, that's what I'll do the deep dive for.
Okay. That's with heart. You may want to spend a link on that.
Oh, I am.
Good.
Hey.
That's 11. Okay, so you can ask me 3 questions. I'm sorry we're running a little long, but I think we're almost done here.
So I guess what here is not as it seems.
Okay, so you are able to put this together based on your observations and the experience you had using the pen to lock the void back in the My Hero Academia universe. If she removes herself from reality, if she voids her existence, she may stop this invasion, but it will not stop all of them. It will only pause the things that she did. This has gone too far for that to be the solution at this point. So what she thinks will solve the problem will not solve the problem.
What is the best way out of this situation?
I think you're probably going to have to destroy that pen and then find some other way to stop the portal.
Okay, and then what here could I use to destroy the pen?
You have a sniper rifle. It should do the trick.
Okay, I will take a shot on the pen.
Okay. Strike to subdue. Roll with mastery. Spend those
I
links.
have no mastery.
Spend those links then.
Oh, I can use any link? It doesn't have to be a mastery link?
No, you can spend any link.
Oh, perfect. I thought it had to be a corresponding.
Sorry, was that your roll there?
Yes.
A 12?
12.
Make sure to erase the links that you're spending here. What were the links that you spent on these last two actions?
Yeah, no, I'm keeping it track. So I used Teal's a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then I used Professors and Rembrandts, so I only have...
You only have your link with Padmé left.
Yeah.
Do you want to, in this moment, lock your link with Padmé?
I think I will.
Okay.
Yes.
Your rifle fires, and just as Padmé is saying no, and Sabe is attempting to draw the line across herself, the bullet strikes the pen, and the pen spirals out of her hands and explodes some distance away. And when the pen explodes, the ink that was in it splashes out, and you see that the world around it where the ink touches suddenly becomes more vibrant for a moment. Sabe looks at her hand where the pen was and turns towards you, Padmé, with a look of confusion and fear on her face.
We'll fix this another way. And I think she looks up and like locks eyes with Sylvanas, and it's like very clearly extremely grateful that she knew just the right thing to do.
You're going to lock your link with her?
Yes.
You do so. Sabe looks deflated and says, "I'm so sorry. I thought this was the right thing."
I know you thought that.
She offers to hug you.
Padmé does it. She
Um,
wraps her arms around Sabe and holds her tight and says, I am here and you're going to have to be satisfied with the me that's here.
He says, "Of course, my friend." And as she says that, the creatures fall upon you, but as you are there holding on to each other, they cannot get at you. They slash and they scramble, but the power of your friendship pushes them away every time.
Wild that I still don't have a link with Sabe.
You want to roll that now?
Yeah, I think it's light.
I think it's a light link.
Yeah.
Okay. You form a light link with Sabe as these creatures rain down upon you but are unable to touch you. And Sylvanas, you find likewise that there is like a glowing link, like a cable between you and Padmé that is glowing with like a blood red light, but not in a creepy way. it's a comforting, pulsing red glow.
Yeah.
And the
Heart
creatures,
light, one might say.
the light of a heart, yes. The creatures are flung away every time they approach this glowing cable between the two of you. They're unable to touch you. They're unable to touch Padmé or Sabe. And boy, does that piss them off, as they just keep leaping towards you, but as they do, they seem to just disintegrate wave after wave of them. Sylvanas, you feel yourself drawn towards Padmé and Sabe.
Yeah. Padme's definitely reaching out a hand for Sylvanas.
I'll reach out as well.
As your hands touch, there is an explosion, one more heartbeat-like pulse, and the light radiates out from the three of you and into the sky. The creatures squeal as they disappear, their pens exploding, each explosion lighting up the sky with light and life. And the portal at first swallows the red energy that is entering into it, but after a few moments, the rushing torrent of power fills it beyond capacity, and the void implodes upon itself, leaving only the night sky, for it has become night, behind, and the stars shining brighter than they ever have before. The timer beeps.
Definitely just keeping the two of them close and like letting the timer. You guys ready?
Sabe nods, still looking uncertain.
Sylvanas?
I will nod and jump in with them.
You slide. And as you slide, you bounce from reality to reality for moments at a time. You land in Stargate Command, where you see those creatures tearing up the location what you had left behind, where this negative energy, this vengeful, violent energy had tainted the world. As you do, the power of your friendship and your links erase all of the void from existence. You tumble into the Stargate through another portal. It whisks you away back towards the town where the one portal was locked, and the other continues to grow despite the best efforts of the heroes there. You touch the ground, and the power and energy that you hold explodes into the air, removing the void from existence. And you tumble once more into the portal, and it bounces you back home. You tumble out onto the ground, all three of you together, Rembrandt and Wade stepping back in surprise.
And now we get to try and explain this to the boss.
Yeah. I don't think we necessarily need to do that part.
No. It's just imagining how awkward and hard that's going to be.
Yep. We'll leave that for next time, which is we can all imagine it with our hearts.
Yes, exactly. That's what fan fiction is for.
That's what fan fiction is for. All right, you've done it. You have retrieved the prime timer, which is what allowed you to get all the way back here that Sabe had with her. And your mission has been completed. Wade takes the timer and says, you should probably take some time to rest, you know. I'll put this back into storage. And she and Rembrandt head back to the vault, chatting as they go. You can see between them there is a strong bond of friendship, similar to the one that you feel between yourselves now. And this is the end of the story. Thank you for joining me today. An interstitial slide away home.
Running.
Thank you for having us.
My absolute pleasure. I've been wanting to play this game for a long time now.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right. So I've been Matt. I sometimes go by ARP. You can find me on Twitter at YCaliber. And the show that I run is Stories of a Broken Sun, which you can follow at Broken Sun RPG. My pronouns are he and him. We've also been joined today by Velvet.
Hi, everyone. You can find me on the interwebs at OG Brown Sugar and as Maeve on Stories of a Broken Sun.
And today, also Minna.
Hi, I'm Minna. You can find me at Mynamanar, MYNAMNNAR. It's the same as my Twitch username, which should be in the chat. I'm also Myra on Magpie's podcast and Inez on the Ironhides podcast.
Thank you so much. I had a wonderful time. That was great. I hope nobody's crying too much.
It's like you looked into my brain and found...
Well,
You did ask me if I'd read the novel, didn't you?
I did ask you if you'd read the novel. Once you said Padmé, I got the wheels turning. And I was just really excited to see the buddy cop chemistry between, Queen of Naboo and the Banshee Queen.
The Banshee Queen.
The respects
so
between.
Thank you for...
All right. Well,
I'm just gonna go die in a puddle of like.
Try not to. You don't know what Sabe will do. Okay. I'm going to stop this end of the recording, and I'll be taking a short break before I return to the Outer Worlds. I'll see you all soon.
See you soon.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
All right. I've stopped that recording. We're still streaming, but I'm going to turn off your desktop audio. Unless there's anything else you wish to say to the viewers.
Space Quids.
Of course, Space Squids. If you would like to donate to the fundraiser that we're doing, it is bit.ly/ycaliber2019, or you can follow the link below the stream. Our goal is to raise $1,000 over the 3 days I'll be streaming, today, tomorrow, and next Saturday the 9th, and I hope that you will help us get there. Every dollar that you donate goes directly to supporting the BC Children's Hospital Foundation. There's no overhead or administrative costs, and it's tax deductible, so that's a bonus. All right, I'm going to end this call and go take a short break before I return. I'll be right back.